The signal. The steady hum of the Sentinel's engines provided a familiar backdrop as Commander Elena Reyes completed her daily log. 3 weeks into a standard patrol of the Orion Arms outer territories, and the most exciting event had been a minor power fluctuation in the mess hall replicators. Elena ran her hand through her short black hair, the gray at her temples a testament to 15 years of service in the Earth Defense Force. "Commander," called Lieutenant Park from the communications station. "I'm detecting an automated distress signal." Elena swiveled her command chair toward the young officer. "Source?" "The Nilani system, ma'am, about 4 light hours from our position." Elena frowned. The Nilani were one of the newer species humanity had encountered. Tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions. Artists, philosophers, and scientists who had developed faster-than-light travel before they'd invented projectile weapons. Their technological advancement had been driven by curiosity rather than conflict. "Let's hear it," Elena ordered. Static filled the bridge before a melodic voice emerged, strained with fear. "Attack! Multiple warships and no defenses. Please, any sentient species who values life, we beg for assistance." The message repeated twice before dissolving back into static. "How old is this signal, Lieutenant?" Park checked his readings. "Just under 4 hours, Commander. It's being broadcast on all standard frequencies." Elena stood walking to the tactical display where her first officer, Commander Jackson, was already pulling up information on the Nilani system. "The Nilani don't have enemies," Jackson said, his dark features set in concentration. "They're peaceful traders with limited defensive capabilities." "Any other Earth ships in the vicinity?" Elena asked. "The nearest patrol is the Dakota, but they're at least 20 hours away at maximum burn," replied Navigator Chen from her station. Elena's mind raced through the implications. The Sentinel was a mid-sized patrol vessel with a crew of 85. While well-armed for its class, it wasn't designed for full-scale military engagements. "Tactical assessment," she ordered. Lieutenant Commander Rivera, a compact woman with laser-focused eyes, responded immediately. "Without knowing the attackers or their numbers, it's impossible to give accurate odds. But the Nilani have minimal orbital defenses. If they're under genuine attack, they're extremely vulnerable." Elena nodded slowly. "Set course for the Nilani system. Maximum speed. Lieutenant Park, alert Earth Command of our response and request backup." "Commander," Jackson said quietly, stepping closer. "Protocol recommends observation and assessment before engagement when faced with unknown hostile forces." Elena met his gaze. "Those protocols were written by people sitting comfortably at desks, Jackson. There are 3 billion Nilani on their homeworld. If we wait to observe, how many will die while we watch?" She turned to address the bridge crew. "I know what the Sentinel is capable of, and I know what you're all capable of. We may be outnumbered, but we're from Earth. We know a thing or two about survival against the odds." Her words hung in the air, a reminder of humanity's unique position in galactic society. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, a planet so hazardous that most alien species could survive there for mere hours without protective equipment. Humans had evolved through millions of years of predators, diseases, natural disasters, and warfare. Their bodies were denser, their reflexes faster, their immune systems remarkably robust compared to most spacefaring species. Many alien civilizations regarded humans with a mixture of fear and fascination. Humans were known as the Deathworlders, creatures who had somehow thrived in conditions that would kill most sentient life. Their introduction to the galactic community had been met with apprehension, especially when other species discovered humanity's violent history. But over time, humans had proven themselves to be more than their evolutionary background. They had become protectors, using their natural advantages to defend those who couldn't defend themselves. "Time to arrival?" Elena asked. 3 hours, 42 minutes at maximum sustainable speed," Chen replied. "Push it to 3 hours. Have engineering redirect power from non-essential systems." The Sentinel surged forward, stars stretching as it accelerated to its highest safe velocity. The Nilani system came into view on the Sentinel's scanners exactly 3 hours later. The tactical display immediately highlighted multiple vessels. In orbit around Nilani Prime, none of them registered as friendly. 7 large ships, Rivera reported. Configuration unknown, but their energy signatures suggest significant weapon systems. They're bombarding the northern continent. Elena leaned forward. Can we identify them? Running comparison now. Match found. Vordax configuration. Several officers exchanged concerned glances. The Vordax were a predatory species from a resource-poor system. They raided other worlds for supplies and occasionally for sport. Unlike humans, they hadn't evolved on a particularly dangerous world. Their aggression stemmed from cultural development and resource scarcity, rather than survival necessity. Are they aware of us? Elena asked. Not yet. We're still at extreme sensor range. Elena considered her options. The Sentinel couldn't take on 7 Vordax warships alone, but they couldn't wait for reinforcements either. Every minute meant more Nilani deaths. Lieutenant Park, open a channel to Earth Command, Priority Alpha. The view screen flickered, revealing Admiral Kagawa's stern face. Commander Reyes, your alert said you were responding to a distress call. Yes, Admiral. The Nilani system is under attack by 7 Vordax warships. They're bombarding civilian population centers. Kagawa's expression darkened. The Vordax haven't engaged with Earth ships before. They generally avoid confrontation with species they consider dangerous. They're slaughtering the Nilani, sir. Request immediate reinforcements. The Admiral nodded. The 4th Fleet is being mobilized as we speak. Admiral Chen is taking command personally, but even at emergency speeds, they're 18 hours out. Elena felt her jaw tighten. The Nilani don't have 18 hours, sir. I understand, Commander, but I can't magically make our ships move faster. Kagawa studied her for a moment. What are you proposing? The Sentinel will engage and distract the Vordax fleet until reinforcements arrive. That's suicide, Commander. Elena smiled grimly. With respect, Admiral, humans specialize in beating the odds. We'll use hit-and-run tactics, focus on their weapon systems, and try to pull their attention away from the planet. After a long pause, Kagawa nodded. Authorization granted. The 4th Fleet is coming, Reyes. Hold until they arrive. Yes, sir. As the communication ended, Elena turned to her crew. Battle stations, all hands prepare for combat operations. Throughout the ship, crew members moved with practiced efficiency. Weapon systems powered up, shields strengthened, and damage control teams stood ready. We're being scanned, Park announced. The Vordax have detected us. Let them look, Elena replied. Lieutenant Rivera, target analysis. I want to know the weakest points on those ships. Before Rivera could respond, Park spoke again. Incoming transmission from the largest Vordax vessel. On screen. The view screen displayed a Vordax commander, a reptilian being with rough, scale-like skin and vertical pupils and yellow eyes. Bone spurs protruded from its jaw and brow. Unidentified vessel, the Vordax said, its universal translator giving its voice a metallic quality. This territory is now under Vordax control. Depart immediately or be destroyed. Elena stood, keeping her posture relaxed but authoritative. This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force vessel Sentinel. You are attacking a peaceful world without provocation. Withdraw your forces immediately. The Vordax commander's eyes narrowed. Earth, the death world. One small ship is your response. The stories of human bravery must be greatly exaggerated. We're just the advance party, Elena replied evenly. A fleet of Earth warships is already en route. I'm giving you one opportunity to withdraw before this becomes a diplomatic incident you can't recover from. The Vordax made a sound that might have been laughter. Your fleet is hours away, human. By then we will have taken what we want from this world. The Nilani are weak. They deserve their fate. And what fate awaits those who prey on the defenseless? Elena asked quietly. You've never faced humans in combat, have you? There's a reason many species fear us. End this now and you won't have to learn why. The transmission cut abruptly. Elena turned to Rivera. Options? Their ships are heavily armored, but their propulsion systems appear vulnerable. If we can damage their engines, it would limit their ability to pursue us or evade our attacks. Elena nodded. Focus on engines and weapons systems. We need to keep them occupied and away from the planet. She tapped her console. Engineering. I need everything you can give me for shields and weapons. Navigation, plot multiple escape vectors. I want to be able to jump in any direction at a moment's notice. Commander, Jackson warned. They're moving to intercept. 3 ships are breaking off from orbital bombardment. Elena smiled grimly. Good. That's 3 ships no longer firing on civilians. She took her seat in the command chair. All hands, prepare for combat maneuvers. Let's show these Vordax what it means to pick a fight with humans. The bridge crew tensed as the distance between the Sentinel and the approaching Vordax vessels rapidly decreased. Weapons range in 30 seconds. Rivera announced. Target the lead ship's engines. Elena ordered. Fire as soon as we're in optimal range, then execute evasive pattern Delta. The stars on the view screen shifted as the Sentinel adjusted its approach. Elena felt a familiar calm settle over her, the focused clarity that came with combat. Humans might be from a death world, but that heritage had given them gifts that few other species could match. Adaptability, tenacity, and the ability to function under extreme stress. In range, Rivera called. Fire. The Sentinel's main cannons released lances of concentrated energy that struck the lead Vordax ship precisely where Rivera had identified vulnerabilities. The enemy vessel's shields flared bright before partially collapsing, allowing the remainder of the Sentinel's barrage to strike the hull directly. Direct hit, Rivera reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from her voice. Their aft engines are damaged. They're venting atmosphere. Evasive maneuvers, Elena commanded. The Sentinel banked sharply, narrowly avoiding retaliatory fire from the other Vordax ships. Circle back and target the second vessel. Same approach. As the Sentinel looped around for another attack run, Elena studied the tactical display. 4 Vordax ships remained in orbit, continuing their bombardment of Nilani Prime while 3 pursued the Sentinel. It wasn't ideal, but it was better than all 7 attacking the planet. The damaged ship is falling back, Jackson noted. The other 2 are accelerating. Elena nodded. Good. Let them chase us. Every minute they spend pursuing us is a minute they're not killing Nilani. The Sentinel shuddered as glancing fire from a Vordax cruiser struck its shields. Shields at 87%, Rivera reported. Maintain course, Elena ordered. Lieutenant Park, broadcast a message to any Nilani who can receive it. Tell them Earth has responded and a fleet is coming. Tell them to hold on. As Park acknowledged the order, Elena watched the tactical display with grim determination. The Sentinel couldn't defeat the Vordax fleet alone, but it could buy time. Time for the 4th fleet to arrive. Time for the Nilani to evacuate vulnerable areas. Time for hope. 17 hours to go. The Response Admiral Wei Chen stood on the bridge of the EDF Indomitable, flagship of Earth's 4th Fleet. At 62, Chen was a veteran of first contact scenarios, diplomatic missions, and unfortunately, interspecies conflicts. 37 warships followed in the Indomitable's wake, driving their engines beyond recommended limits as they hurtled toward the Nilani system. Status of the Sentinel? Chen asked, his voice calm despite the urgency of their mission. Captain Diaz, his tactical officer, checked her display. Still engaged, Admiral. Commander Reyes is executing hit-and-run attacks to keep the Vordax off balance. They've damaged 3 enemy vessels and drawn 4 away from orbital bombardment. The Sentinel has sustained damage but remains combat effective. Chen nodded approvingly. Elena Reyes had a reputation for resourcefulness. Few commanders could have kept a single patrol ship alive against a Vordax fleet for 16 hours. Time to arrival? 2 hours, 17 minutes at current speed, reported the navigation officer. Too long. Chen turned to his communications. Officer. Send a message to Commander Reyes. Tell her to hold position. Help is coming. As the officer complied, Chen studied the holographic display of the Nilani system. The Vordax had established a blockade around the planet, preventing any civilian ships from escaping. Reports indicated they were landing ground forces in several locations, presumably to capture resources and potentially slaves. Prepare all Marine units for immediate deployment upon arrival, Chen ordered. Priority is securing population centers and repelling Vordax ground forces. Yes, Admiral. Chen addressed the fleet-wide communication system. This is Admiral Chen to all ships. We are approaching the Nilani system where fellow humans have been fighting against overwhelming odds for over 16 hours. The Vordax have never faced a coordinated Earth fleet before. Today they learn what happens when you threaten those under our protection. Throughout the fleet, crews made final preparations. In launch bays, fighter pilots conducted pre-flight checks. In armories, Marines inspected their combat exoskeletons, powered armor that enhanced their already formidable strength and endurance. Med bays prepared for casualties, both human and Nilani. Chen turned to Captain Diaz. Battle Plan Alpha 7, the moment we drop out of FTL, I want fighters launched and planetary defense as the priority. Understood, Admiral. 2 hours later, the 4th Fleet emerged from FTL on the outskirts of the Nilani system. The tactical display immediately updated with real-time information. 7 Vordax ships, 3 with significant damage. The Sentinel still evading and fighting, and Nilani Prime, portions of its surface scarred by orbital bombardment. Launch all fighters, Chen commanded. Capital ships, form defensive perimeter around the planet. Target Vordax vessels that are still bombarding civilian areas first. Across the fleet, launch bay doors opened, releasing swarms of Earth fighters. The smaller vessels accelerated toward the planet, their advanced engines allowing them to reach the Vordax ships before the capital ships could arrive. On the bridge of the damaged Sentinel, Commander Elena Reyes watched the tactical display with exhausted relief as friendly signatures appeared. Earth fleet has arrived, she announced to her weary crew. Maintain defensive posture and prepare to fall back behind the fleet's perimeter. The Sentinel had survived 16 hours of continuous combat through a combination of tactical ingenuity, engineering miracles, and sheer human stubbornness. The ship bore multiple scars from Vordax weapons, and 23 crew members were in the medical bay, but they had accomplished their mission. They had held until reinforcements arrived. The way, Vordax fleet, suddenly faced with overwhelming Earth forces, attempted to regroup. Their command ship broadcast on all frequencies. Earth vessels, this conflict does not concern you. The Nilani are a primitive species, unworthy of protection. Admiral Chen's response was succinct. All Vordax forces, this is Admiral Wei Chen, of the Earth Defense Force. You have attacked a peaceful civilization and ignored warnings to withdraw. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. Without waiting for a response, Chen ordered the attack. Earth capital ships opened fire with precision weapons that targeted the Vordax vessels' key systems. Fighter squadrons swarmed around the enemy ships, exploiting the vulnerabilities that the Sentinel had identified during its long holding action. 2 Vordax cruisers, already damaged by the Sentinel's earlier attacks, quickly succumbed to the concentrated firepower. A third attempted to escape, but was disabled by a squadron of Earth fighters that targeted its engines. On the surface of Nilani Prime, the situation was dire. Vordax ground forces had established beachheads in several regions, rounding up Nilani, civilians, and destroying cultural centers. The tall, graceful aliens had no defense against the invaders. Their security forces, equipped with little more than stunning weapons for controlling rare civil disturbances, were quickly overwhelmed. Launch dropships, Chen ordered. All Marine units deploy according to plan. Priority is civilian protection and evacuation of threatened areas. Throughout the fleet, armored dropships detached from their carrier vessels. Each carried a complement of Earth Marines, men and women who had trained relentlessly for combat in diverse environments. Unlike the Vordax, who relied on technological superiority and intimidation, Earth's forces combined advanced technology with the natural advantages that came from evolving on a death world. The first Marines touched down near the Nilani capital city. Captain Maya Okafor led her company through streets littered with debris from the orbital bombardment. The Nilani they encountered stared in wonder at the humans, shorter than themselves, but moving with confident purpose in their powered armor. Establish a perimeter around the government complex, Okafor ordered. Medical teams set up triage centers. Engineering, I want defensive barricades at all major intersections. As her troops moved to execute her commands, Okafor's helmet sensors detected approaching Vordax signatures. Contact imminent, she warned. Her company. Weapons-free, defensive protocols in effect. The Vordax ground forces had never encountered humans before. They had expected the same minimal resistance they'd faced from the Nilani. Instead, they found themselves confronting soldiers who moved with unexpected speed and precision, whose bodies were naturally adapted to higher gravity, and whose reflexes had been honed by evolution to respond to threats with remarkable efficiency. In orbit, the battle had turned decisively in Earth's favor. The Vordax commander, Supreme Hunter Valak, watched with growing alarm as his fleet was systematically dismantled by Earth forces. Impossible, he hissed to his bridge officers. Their tactics, their coordination. His tactical officer, bleeding from a head wound sustained during a direct hit to their vessel, looked up from his damaged console. Supreme Hunter, the humans, they fight like a species that has known war for its entire existence. Valak had studied the reports on humans. Before this campaign, he had dismissed the warnings about them as exaggerations. Surely no species could be as naturally combative, as instinctively skilled at warfare as the reports suggested. The Vordax considered themselves apex predators, evolved to dominate. But watching the systematic destruction of his fleet, Valak was forced to confront a terrifying truth. The humans were not just skilled warriors, they were survivors of a world that had tried to kill them for millions of years. Every aspect of their physiology, their psychology, even their social structures, had been shaped by that brutal evolutionary crucible. All vessels, he commanded, his voice tight with suppressed rage, concentrate fire on their flagship. It was a desperate move, but Valak hoped that by destroying the human command vessel, he might disrupt their coordinated attack long enough to allow some of his ships to escape. The remaining Vordax warships adjusted their position, focusing their weapons on the Indomitable. Energy beams and projectiles converged on the Earth flagship, its shields flaring brilliant blue as they absorbed the concentrated attack. On the Indomitable's bridge, Admiral Chen remained calm as the ship shuddered under the assault. "They're getting desperate," he noted. "Diaz, status of our shields?" "Holding at 72%, Admiral. The Vordax are exposing their flanks to target us." Chen nodded. "Order the Thunderchild and Osiris to exploit their position. Target their exposed weapon systems." The two Earth-heavy cruisers moved into position, unleashing a barrage that struck the vulnerable sections of the Vordax vessels. One Vordax ship exploded in a spectacular flash as its power core destabilized. Another drifted, its weapons and propulsion systems disabled. On the surface, Captain Okafor's Marines had secured the Nilani government complex and were expanding their defensive perimeter. Similar operations were underway at other landing zones, with Earth forces systematically pushing back the Vordax ground troops. "Captain," called her communications specialist, "I'm receiving a transmission from a Nilani leader." The holographic display in Okafor's helmet activated, showing a tall Nilani whose iridescent skin shifted between shades of blue and green. "Human soldiers," the Nilani said, its melodic voice translated by her suit's systems. "I am Elder Thalira of the Nilani Council. Your arrival. We had almost lost hope." "Elder Thalira, I'm Captain Okafor of the Earth Defense Force Marines. We're establishing secure zones throughout your major population centers. Can you help coordinate your people?" "Yes, of course. We have underground shelters where many have taken refuge. I can guide your forces." As Okafor coordinated with the Nilani Elder, her squad encountered a group of Vordax soldiers herding captured civilians toward a landing craft. Without hesitation, the Marines engaged, their enhanced reflexes and combat training giving them a decisive advantage despite the Vordax's natural strength. In less than 10 minutes, the Vordax were neutralized and the Nilani civilians freed. One of the rescued Nilani approached Okafor, its skin shifting to a pale gold color that she would later learn indicated profound gratitude. "You came from so far to help us," the Nilani said softly. "Why?" Okafor removed her helmet, revealing her human face. "Because it's what humans do. We protect those who need protection." In orbit, the battle was reaching its conclusion. 6 of the 7 Vordax vessels had been disabled or destroyed. Only the command ship remained fully operational, and it was surrounded by Earth warships. Supreme Hunter Valok, Admiral Chen broadcast. Your fleet is defeated. Your ground forces are being overcome. Surrender now, and we will spare the lives of your remaining crews. After a long pause, a response came. The Vordax do not surrender. Chen sighed. Then you leave us no choice. Before he could order the final assault, the Sentinel moved into position between the Indomitable and the Vordax command ship. Commander Reyes opened a channel to the enemy vessel. Supreme Hunter, she said, her voice showing the strain of the past 18 hours. I've fought your ships longer than anyone. I've seen how you operate. You don't care about your crews. You care about your pride. The Vordax commander's reptilian face appeared on the view screen. What is your point, human? My point is that you're not fighting for survival anymore. You're fighting to avoid humiliation. But there's no shame in recognizing when you're outmatched. There's only wisdom. Valok stared at her, his alien features unreadable. You speak as if you understand us. I understand predators, Reyes replied. Humans evolved alongside them. The difference is we learned there are times to fight and times to live to fight another day. After what seemed an eternity, the Vordax commander nodded once. We will withdraw our remaining forces. Chen stepped forward. Unacceptable. You will surrender your vessels and all ground forces. The Nilani will decide your fate. The Vordax commander bristled, but looking at the overwhelming Earth forces surrounding his lone ship, he finally acquiesced. 3 days later, Admiral Chen and Commander Reyes stood in the Hall of Harmony, the Nilani's most sacred governmental chamber. The elegant crystalline structure had somehow survived the bombardment, though the city around it bore scars that would take years to heal. On behalf of all Nilani, Elder Thalira said, her skin shifting through colors that indicated formal gratitude, I extend our deepest thanks to humanity. Without your intervention, our civilization might have been lost. Chen bowed slightly. We responded as any moral species would to a call for help. Perhaps, Thalira said, but many heard our distress signal. Only Earth responded. She gestured toward a large crystal display where an official document glowed with soft light. This treaty establishes a formal alliance between our peoples. The Nilani offer our knowledge of art, philosophy, and theoretical sciences. In return, we ask for Earth's continued protection. The Earth Defense Force will establish a permanent outpost in your system, Chen confirmed. Commander Reyes has volunteered to oversee its construction and initial operation. Reyes, still bearing the signs of exhaustion from the battle, straightened. It would be my honor. As the official ceremony concluded, Thalira approached Reyes privately. Your ship arrived first, Commander, against 7 enemy vessels. Why did you not wait for reinforcements? Reyes smiled slightly. Elder Thalira, humans come from a world that tried to kill us at every turn. We survived because we refused to abandon each other in times of danger. She looked out through a crystalline window at the Earth and Nilani personnel working together to rebuild. We've learned that sometimes being first to respond makes all the difference. In the space above Nilani Prime, Earth ships maintained their protective formation. Among the stars, word spread quickly of how the Deathworlders had responded to an SOS with overwhelming force. Some species found this concerning, evidence of humanity's martial nature. Others found it reassuring, proof that despite their fearsome reputation, humans used their strength to protect rather than conquer. For the Nilani, the message was simpler. In a galaxy full of dangers, they had found allies who understood what it meant to face extinction and refuse to surrender. They had found friends who, when called, would answer, fleet inbound.